What's up, everybody? Welcome to Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. We've got something pretty special going on today.
Yeah, we do. We had Danny Freeman of A Few Too Many today on the podcast. And man, the stuff that he's been a part of and the stuff that he's created, you guys have probably actually heard about. He's a very influential person in the pop punk music scene, in the alternative music scene. A Few Too Many is kicking ass right now. Like,
absolutely,
this guy is in it, and he's in it to win it, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. So why don't we skip all of our chit chat in the beginning? Let's just get right into it.
Sounds good to me, man. Here we go. And welcome to another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. Pat, how you doing today?
I'm doing splendid.
I'm doing fantastic.
Been a nice, productive morning.
Yeah, it has. Talking about Star Wars and podcasting and ideas.
Beating you at fantasy football.
Beating me at fantasy football, which
it's going to happen.
I'm checking now. Still winning. Good job. I'm still losing. We got an awesome guest for you guys today. Today we have Dan Freeman of A Few Too Many. Dan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having me on.
And it works out that it's just you with us because most of my questions are directed just towards you. So that works out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Always nice when that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Isn't it great to have all the attention? God damn.
Well, the others are probably all dead as well. So,
oh, yeah. I spent most of my day just watching movies with my son yesterday. We had a dude day, so I'm mostly rested.
Well, I went over to visit my bassist earlier today, and it was like 2 p.m. and he was still in his dressing gown. I'm sure he won't mind me saying so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's spending the day in bed today.
Sure.
That's awesome.
I'm still in my gym shorts. I attempted nothing. Got my gym shorts and my birds aren't real shorts, so I'm ready to roll.
Well, the only reason I'm still standing is because I've had a can of Monster. So that's pretty much just put my energy levels slightly back up until I crash. Dude,
I feel that. I had a big old cup of Death Wish coffee, and that's like I don't know if you guys have that over there, but over here it's like that
sounds exotic.
It's
pretty
like
exotic.
It
comes from Virginia.
They say it's like the most caffeinated coffee you can get, and it does give me the jitters, so I'm definitely ready.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to check it out. I don't know if we do it over here in the UK, but if we do, I'll try and track it down.
I'll be honest, that sounds terrible. I just have my Arizona sweet tea because it tastes good, and I
think I still have a couple cans of that from you over here.
For me, it's Red Bull or Monster, and then I'm good to go, or a cup of tea, because obviously, British and everything.
Right. No, yeah, we weren't going to stab fun at that at all.
No, and we wouldn't.
Most people do.
Oh man, tea. Like, I like me some tea. I've got some like pretty good, like some teapots. I have a fancy one that I really enjoy good tea, but I never end up making it because it's a chore.
It's an absolute chore.
It's a nice thing to have on occasion. I'm not like most people from the UK who literally have a cup every single morning. I'll have like maybe one a week if I'm feeling it. But
sure.
It's
all right, so here's a question. Okay, so obviously we got on the topic of tea, right? Okay, that's a pretty British. It's pretty British thing. Okay, so like if you were hosting the podcast and you had these two nitwit Americans on, what would be the first thing that you would dig at us?
I probably would make like a In-N-Out burger comment or something like that. I mean,
don't tease us. We can't have that. That's not even around here.
Oh man.
It's all West Coast. God damn it.
And actually, Bear, they have one in Dallas.
You know what else they have in Dallas? Whataburger.
Yeah. And we're going to be there.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No. Okay. Give us another one. Shoot us again.
It's okay. You just hurt my heart with a stab at something I can't have.
Maybe a comment about corn dogs or something. My dad's always,
Y'all don't have corn dogs over there?
Full disclosure, I'm actually half American. You would not believe it. But my dad is from Sherman Oaks in California.
Okay.
So,
That's the Whataburger reference. Got it.
Sure. No, In-N-Out.
Oh, it's In-N-Out. God damn it.
Whataburger's Texas.
Whataburger's Texas. And it's so good.
It is good. But In-N-Out is the best like fast food burger, period, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
it's definitely up there.
Delicious.
It's definitely up there.
it's really good, especially if you're going like animal, like double animal style.
Animal
like
style.
that's the only way to do it.
It's the only way to get the fries too.
And as far as
I
like
agree.
hot dogs are concerned, like I thought we did all right hot dogs, and then I went over to the States and I had a Dodger dog, and it was like that big.
Well, that's a Dodger dog, though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's not a hot dog.
I like everything that he knows about the States is all from California, and we can't fucking have it.
Yeah,
Because we're in the middle of the goddamn Midwest.
but I mean, he hasn't probably had a Chicago dog, man.
That's true.
No.
And Chicago dogs are really
With
good.
like the poppy seed bun and the spear pickle
Yeah.
and the pepperoncinos.
Yeah.
No.
There's like, like each state has like their special things that they do. So
Yeah.
that's kind of one of the cool things.
All right, one more dig and then we'll get into the podcast because I really go deep.
Go for
Because
it.
like this still hasn't hurt me as a person, like
Oh, yeah. He wants to see what you got to hurt him.
yeah, hurt me.
I have not got many good things. Some generic comment about baseball, probably. But
I see. I would just say, all you have to say is you're American. Do I need to say more?
Fair
Like,
enough.
come on.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Fair enough.
You live over in America. There you
Yeah.
go. There's your dig.
How's that
I'm
privatized healthcare treating you? Oh, shit.
Yeah. Damn it.
True. Okay. Okay.
We got plenty of digs to go at. Cool. So I'm gonna go with an actual question here. So you formed in like 2012, released your first single, Saint Sinner Winner, which has a pretty ripping solo in it. Played a few shows. Then looks like you took a hiatus till about 2015, where you began hitting it hard, playing shows and working on your full-length Lessons Learned, which you eventually released in 2017. I'm just curious, like, what made you take that time off?
Just a lot. I mean, I could give a cliche answer about self-reflection and all that, but to be honest with you, it was a lot to do with just where each of us were at in terms of like finances, jobs, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And obviously, being in a band is a finance, it's a cost.
Yeah.
So we had to take a bit of time out and just kind of write and work on that kind of stuff. But I mean, that chapter feels like Lessons Learned. When people talk about that, it just feels like that's a whole. That doesn't even feel like the same band anymore to the band that's done the Out for the Count EP. It's like a whole world away now.
And it's big. It's a big change too. I mean, like Lessons Learned doesn't sound like you guys sound now.
No, we're always saying that, and especially production wise, like it's just a whole. It's like a different. It just doesn't even sound like the same band to me when I listen to it.
Yeah,
and it hasn't got the same kind of like oomph that we went for on this EP. And a lot of bands kind of do that thing where over time they get maybe sort of poppier and softer. And I think we kind of did the complete opposite of that. And rather than sort of go in a poppy direction, we've got sort of heavier as time goes on.
As you kind of went, Lessons Learned sounds a lot more. You're like, well, we're a pop punk band. We want to be pop punk. And then as you've gone through your touring and growth and stuff, you're like, well, now we're going to actually be a pop punk band. Yeah.
The way I would kind of summarize it is like Lessons Learned for me was kind of that. We didn't really have much of an identity as a band kind of album. It very much, when I listen to it now, sounds like we were trying to sound like our influences, like obviously heavily influenced by, Blink-182, New Found Glory, Green Day. And when I listen to that album, you can really like tell that, and it doesn't really have its own kind of sound or identity. Whereas I think like now, the kind of stuff that we're putting out has like our own kind of sort of ethos and sound stamped onto it, or at least that's kind of my perspective.
Absolutely. And then hopping off of that, then since Lessons Learned, you have released an EP, 6 other singles, and a new album on the way.
Yeah, that's right. So there are 2 tracks left of the EP that are unreleased at the moment. Everything else has come out in the form of singles, like you just mentioned. But the rest of it drops in January.
Right on. That's exciting.
What made you want to take the single route?
To be honest, it's a bit of a mixture. Like, I am a big fan of putting out a whole collective works like an album, but I kind of feel, especially with like the layout of the music industry now, like a lot of things have changed, and in order to to kind of keep that momentum and that engagement going, it seems to be that like single releases do that more than just putting out the full collective works, and then the hype dies down, and then you're sort of like, well, where do we go from here? Like, we've just released the whole thing in one go, and obviously you can jump on the touring train, you can get into the online promotion side of it, but you haven't kind of got that content to span out over a long period.
I always felt like that's that line that you got to walk, whether or not you're a new band, well, especially if you're a new band, like having that having your foot in the door, so to speak, is really important. Having like actual content to listen to. One single is great, and you can do a lot with singles, and quite frankly, like singles is kind of the way of the industry as of right now. But if you're gonna start off with a band, like putting an EP out there is honestly one of the best things you can do as a landing platform, just to be like, okay, I heard their single.
Yeah.
I want to listen to more. And then you have more, rather than just like, okay, well, the next one's going to be coming out in 3 months. And normally on like this podcast, I sit here and go singles all the time, because you can write and record and have them backlogged. Like, I have a couple singles like sitting on my computer right now, but I also already have an EP and like 2 other singles released at the moment. So it's like, you still have music to listen to when you're an upcoming band or first starting out. Get your foot in the door, release 3 songs, 4 songs, make it an EP, do something, like get something, so that way your listeners have enough content to listen to you, and then hit them again with the single, hit them over the head with a baseball bat, just a new song. Bam!
Yeah.
Well, I completely agree, because none of us, we're not Green Day. You can't record a full length album, and not have to release a single, and then not have to release another album for 2 years. When you're a smaller band, you have to have that constant content.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think also, like, kind of going along the same lines as that, like with an EP, it's kind of like you've got that sort of breakup between that and then an album. Like, you could, like, in my opinion, with Lessons Learned, like, obviously you learn, excuse the irony in that statement, but I can sort of like learn from that now that was a mistake. But like, I do think that we probably released an album too early, and we should have started off by releasing an EP instead, and then we could have waited for for that momentum to build and then dropped an album. But
lessons learned.
Lessons.
Yeah.
And it was also, I mean, even just 5 years ago, it was different. It was still a different time. Like, the music industry has changed. So like, the landscape, even just in the past 3 years, has changed so much, especially with COVID.
Everybody everything stuck at home.
Everything has changed. Like, and I think going forward, it's going to pretty much stay the same, or at least similar.
Yeah.
I think that when COVID hit in, it was, obviously a massive shock to, just the live industry as a whole. And people were kind of presented with the choice of, okay, well, what do we do now? Like, you can either carry on sort of and try and put out online content and do like live streams and, try and sort of reformat as much as you can to the new sort of digital world that we're going to be in for goodness knows how long. Or you kind of take a really, really long break. And I know bands who did both, and no, discredit on either side. We went down the route of, we just didn't want to, we didn't want to take a break. We didn't want to stop. So we started doing like live streams every other week. We'd do like games online, Cards Against Humanity, all that kind of stuff. and just stream it out to, our friends, because we thought, well, at least we're kind of doing something. We can't play shows at the moment, so like we can still get our fans, friends involved in something, even if it's not a show.
And with that being said, I think that's kind of like, because of that, that's going to be the new expectation, because even when people can go to shows, I think a lot of people learn that they're also cool just chilling at home. So I feel like the expectation will be, well, you can do a live stream. You can perform for us now, just at home. But we still want to have the opportunity to see you live. So you're going to have to do it all.
Yeah. And I would certainly urge any bands at the moment, if you've got the ability to, and you've got the finance to, setting up somewhere where you can, live stream from and do like a live stream concert from at any given moment, because, we never know when this is going to get worse, better. Like it could just go in peaks and troughs from now, infinitum, really. Like we don't know how long this is going to go on for. But if you've got that kind of dedicated space that you guys can all go to, and you're not involving anyone else, so there's less factors with COVID to take into account. Like obviously there's still safety precautions that you take, but there's less than trying to put on a gig, which obviously then takes on a lot more. And then you've got the venue, you've got the staff, there's like so many different variables there. But if you've got a dedicated space to be able to stream from, then I think that's kind of like the end game, because it means that even if this happens, you could you can stream from that space. And you could almost perhaps even do like an online virtual tour, and you do something along the lines of a lot of these venues have a Facebook page. So you could even do a thing where you basically each night that you would have played in a different city, you stream from that venue's Facebook page from your space. So it's the same space all the time, but it's from their page. And obviously their page has a lot of followers from their area, and you could potentially still kind of tour. I mean, I know it's not the same thing, but it's kind of something.
It's something though. And streaming allows us smaller bands to reach a significantly bigger audience, because I mean, we can go on tour. Hell, we can go on tour right now, and we could play a show, in Texas. Well, let's just say Texas. Cool. 5 people came out. Or we could stream, and there's 50 people that watched our stream.
Exactly.
So it's like the landscape of touring is changing.
It is, because even now with shows coming back, it's the same here in the UK. Like we do have live music is kind of back, but at the same time, what I've noticed is it's very hit and miss. Like you can play a show and the room will be absolutely packed out. You could play a show the next night of the tour and
nothing.
You have like 4 or 5 people. If that.
Right. And that's
people are scared still,
Well, and not only that, but that's the way shows were before. And you have all these people saying all this stuff. Oh, I miss live shows. Well, fucking go.
Yeah.
Because you didn't before. Go.
Just go to a show.
Exactly.
Of all the songs that you've released to date, which would you say is your favorite one?
My personal favorite is one of our more recent singles off the EP, History. That is it's just my favorite song to play live, because it's kind of got all of the elements that I love in it. It's got the kind of pop punk element, but it's also got like a heavier element. Like I listen to a lot of 4 Year Strong, A Day to Remember, those kind of bands, and that for me is kind of the song that gets as close to that, but with our kind of our own
closer to like the easycore kind of style.
Easycore style.
I like that.
Well, you started the Facebook group, the Alternative Music Networking Group, originally known as the Pop Punk Network Group, which has brought together so many people from all over the world working together under one cause. Did you ever think that it would be this impactful?
No. No, I didn't. It literally, I think we started out with like 15 to 20 people in it, and most of those were either my bandmates and some other like friends and contacts that I had. There's no way in hell that like 4 or 5 years ago I would have envisaged that it would get to where it is now. Like,
even when I joined the group, it was pretty small still.
Yep,
like
same.
it was still very smaller, growing. Like it has grown so much just over these past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like it's wild seeing it grow.
It is as well, especially because we're not, like in terms of members, there are groups with, there are pop punk groups and groups in our genre with a lot more. Like you've got, I think UK pop punk has like 15,000. And, when we haven't quite hit that 10K mark yet, you've also got a Defend Pop Punk group, which I think has like 25 or like 30,000, but
they're all the same people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, that's what the thing is like, I would say the big two, the ones that are that mean the most to be in, would be the networking group. Cause that's like all of us, mostly it's 90% band and industry type people that we're all trying to work together. And then you've got Pop Punk Kids, which is 111,000 people now, all doing kind of nothing.
Yeah.
But it's like
that really does mean a lot. And there's no discredit on any of the other group members whatsoever. Like the other guys who run, their groups. Like I know obviously Greg's involved with Pop Punk Kids, but he also has like We Are Triumphant and a million other things.
Right. And
he's involved with it. It's hard.
When that started, it was awesome. And even when I first got in it years ago, like it was awesome. And just as it's grown, it's just changed a significant amount. You know? You either got the people asking like, the stereotypical, is this pop punk? Which is cool. Like, I hate when people dog on that sort of stuff. It's just people trying to have fun. I don't know why I don't know why it has to be a problem. And then you got the people being like, oh, I thought this was a pop punk group. Well, it is. It's all pop punk kids.
Related stuff. Yeah.
It's just us. It's us as people in this grouping of people.
Yeah.
It doesn't like
it's friends. Like, get over yourself.
It doesn't have to like, okay, then ask for something pop punk related. You want it to be music related, just fucking ask.
Everyone complains about how nothing is the way that they want it, yet nobody wants to take their shit by the fucking, like, I don't know, balls or whatever and do something about it. Like, nobody wants to be the change. They just want to complain about the change. It's like, why can't it be the way I want it? Because you're not actually putting in effort to make it the way you want it. You're just bitching about the way that it is. So shut the fuck up, sit back, and let the drivers take control, because clearly you won't. And if that principle applies to literally anything, if you're complaining about anything and not doing anything about it, fuck you. You're the problem.
So intense with it.
It's true. Sorry. It's one thing to sit there and say that there's something wrong, but if you're not gonna like bring forward,
it's just like, like, what are you doing? Sitting behind a keyboard going, what the fuck is this? And then what are you going to do? Scroll TikTok for a hot second? Like, all right, like, that's fine. But like, stop complaining about things that are the way that they are if you're not willing to put in the effort. And like, Pat was just talking about this just like literally just a second ago. Like, just be the fucking change you want to see. Like, nobody goes to shows. Oh, I can't wait till shows come back. Go to a fucking show. Like, just go.
Get
like,
your friends.
I started a group like 5 years ago and I was like, you know what? This group is like 20 people. That's all it is. Just 20 people, because 20 people can make a difference. I'm like, every other Friday, we're going to go to a show that we have no idea who's there. We're going there to support the venue and then that performance. And then we're going to introduce ourselves to new music. We're going to introduce ourselves to new bands. And we're going to give that band playing 20 extra people that they didn't think was going to show up.
So many people.
It's so many people.
Like,
I've toured an entire tour to less than 20 people a show. Like, it's not fun. But like, if you can sit here and go, I'm going to take a specific amount of people who I know are involved and invested, and I'm going to go do something with that. Like, you can change so much. And like, if that idea can inspire anybody else, just take a group of 5 people and just go to a show. You don't even have to know who it is. Just go to a show. You can see some of the best like underground bands, up and coming bands, like for stupid cheap. And then that is your Friday. That is what you get to do Friday night. Like, what are you doing Friday? Oh, I got plans. I'm going to see a show. Hey, you want to come along?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. What'd you do on Friday? Oh, I had fun. What's that?
And you can guarantee it's going to make that band's night as well.
Absolutely. 5 people that I don't know at a show is a lot of people.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. And if, if you're in a place that's got 80,000 fucking people and 5 different groups of people do that, 5 different groups, that's not a lot. You say, if all these people say they care about the music industry and they care about, I love my band, my pop punk music. I love my hardcore. I love metal. Yep. I love rap. Then show it.
Yeah.
Go do something. Cause Teen Mom will fucking be there to stream later.
Yeah, right.
Or whatever show you're trying to stream right now.
I had a music teacher when I was a freshman in college. So like 7 years ago now. Like homework was going to a show that weekend, and I'm dead ass. Like he would come back every Monday and go, "So what show did you guys go to see? Did you guys go with any of your classmates? Did you make friends?" And I'm like, this guy gets it. Like he gets it. And I'm just like, it's not that hard to grab a buddy and just go for a show. Like if you're going to go out to drink on a Friday night, okay, drink at the venue bar.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, I was never one of those people who really like gets, I mean, obviously I no disrespect to anyone who likes clubbing, but that's never been my vibe. Like
mine either.
I would always pick a gig, or going to a show than I would over,
and it doesn't even need to be like a random show. It could be, hey, there's a pop punk band that I don't know about, but they're pop punk and I'm into pop punk. Done. Like, oh, there's a hardcore show happening over here. Done. Exactly. Like that used to be back in the early thousands, this community. And yet all of us have gotten older and it's like that kind of just disappeared. And to no fault of like streaming services, like it's not their fault. People change. But like at the same time, just because you have access to it from your computer or from your phone doesn't mean you shouldn't just go. And we were talking about live streams, and yes, that's a great tool. You should use all the tools in your arsenal. Like absolutely do it. But like go to a damn show. It's really not all that hard. If anybody out there is listening right now, go to a damn show. Like I'm dead ass. Like we came back. My band came back basically like 3 weeks ago after COVID. Because like no live shows were going on, but we got offered to play an All American Rejects like emo night, and I was like, okay, I'm not really quite sure how this is going to work out, but everyone's been like live concert deprived for almost 2 years now, and we got up there, sold out fucking show. Wow. Blew my damn mind. I'm like, none of these people really know who we are. And we have an opportunity to play for people who are there to see like us cover All American Rejects.
People love emo nights too.
People love that too. People love emo nights. But it's like just that alone is like seeing a group of people who are going to emo night is fucking awesome. It's awesome. Just be the change. Stop sitting there complaining behind your goddamn keyboard or commenting on TikToks of shit that you can't do, and just go do it.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with that sentiment.
And on that note, we're going to take a short break for our sponsors.
Hey everybody, this is Bear with Unsigned Pop Punk and the Where Did All My Friends Go podcast. Just reminding you to check out our website at unsignedpoppunk.com. You can find anything you'd ever want to know about me or Pat or what we support as Unsigned Pop Punk. We also got some pretty hella dope merch on there too, so buy that shit up and support what we do. Thanks again. And we're back. We have Dan Freeman from A Few Too Many with us. Dan, again, thank you so much for being here. To the sponsors, thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast. Let's get back into it, Pat. You ready?
Yeah, we got one more question, then we're going to switch over to our next segment. So with So when we're talking about the alternative music networking group, one of the really awesome things that came out of that was you started working with Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup on a new project called Music Networking 101. Yeah. Can you tell our listeners a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So, Jarrett had started posting in the alternative music networking group a few times here and there. And I mean, that in itself was like crazy.
Driving everyone nuts. Because everyone was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. And I definitely, there were a few comments and messages that I had at the time that were like, oh, this isn't the real Jarrett, right? Like this is a fake account. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a fake account. It's actually him.
It's not. Believe it or not, he just cares about y'all. It's crazy. Yeah. What a cool dude.
No, he is. Like he literally, like he checks out so many bands in there, and and he gives them feedback. And quite often people ask, Q&A type questions in there, like say, what kind of gear should I get for this show? Or, I'm looking for a new set of in-ears, and I've seen him interacting with stuff like that. So he gets completely stuck in.
Yeah.
As time went by, it was apparent that he was obviously interacting so much in there that it would be absolutely crazy of me not to,
reach out.
to reach out and talk about what we could potentially do together in the group. And so we got a conversation going, and we spoke about establishing this kind of rolling monthly music industry online workshop where we would basically invite prominent members of the music industry, whatever guises that falls under, whether they were musicians, record label executives, DJs, managers, tour managers, people who have quite an astute background in the industry and have been in it for a while, and obviously know some of the tricks and tips and also the pitfalls that come along with being in it, and basically stream that to not just the group's audience, but obviously that's a big part of it, but also just to bands and artists potentially all over the world to hopefully listen in and then potentially pick up some advice going forwards for their own kind of careers, because that was definitely something that I didn't see much of when we started a few too many. There wasn't really that many things along those kind of lines, and I think if it had been, probably wouldn't have got into some of the sticky situations that we did. Like we, yeah. Well, we find,
I feel that. Oh my God, do I feel that?
Like I won't go fully into it, but we signed to a record label very early on into our career that did not turn out to be an actual record label. It was like a guy working out of a flat, and he had put this whole like charade together. I mean, kudos, it was impressive, but like we were a young band, we were very impressionable, we were naive, and he said a lot.
So many are.
Yeah. And if people are saying to you, like everything you want to hear and you're going to support your favorite band, and like obviously now listening back to it, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like the guy said that he knew Fall Out Boy, and he
right.
I just think like, how did I ever, buy into that? But
because back in 2012, 2013, 14, 15, it was still such a different time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just wasn't 2021, 2020. Yeah. These things seem so obvious now.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that means because we're older, or that it's just so obvious because everybody's trying to fake everybody nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, like 2012, like seems like such a long time ago, but it was such a different time still.
Yeah.
For music.
Yeah, it was. And if I went back in time and told that version of Danny that one day I was going to be working with Jarrett and doing this, I probably would have told myself to go fuck myself, to be if I can swear. Sorry,
dude. We've been swearing nonstop.
I've been fucking swearing all the time. I mark it as explicit. Don't work.
Yeah,
but in terms
we're not
of,
going to bleep nothing.
Like ticking things off of my lifetime bucket list, that has got to be like one of the
That's exciting.
Yeah,
It is, because even like I I text Bear almost every time. Like I've recently started talking to Jarrett too. And like it's such an honor, because he's in one of the bigger pop punk bands that like we've looked up to for so long. And the fact that he takes the time to just go into a Facebook group and be like, oh yeah, I liked that. Like, what the fuck? Like,
I know, right? Like he's like one of the real ones left, is like he's just a real person.
The first time that he liked something on our Unsigned Pop Punk like Instagram, I fucking snapshotted it and sent it to Bear. I'm like, what just happened? Like, what? It's so awesome. And like I said, just an honor that he would take his time to talk to us.
Yeah.
It's so
and
cool.
he is honestly one of the most humble people in the music industry that I have ever met and had the pleasure to speak to. Like I've met and spoken to a lot of people over the years, but Jarrett is genuinely, he is what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. And when you talk to him, he's just such a genuine, down to earth guy.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to one more question before we get into our next segment. And that is, for all of our listeners out there right now who are either trying to start a band, in a band, trying to figure out their next steps, what is one piece of advice that you could give to them that you wish you had earlier?
About taking your time. I think we made a lot of rushed decisions based on, things like obviously outside pressure. In the case of when we nearly fell into the record label trap, there was a lot of kind of push from their side to make decisions quickly. And I think that is something that now people kind of they've got all these resources at their fingertips. You've got the internet, you've got a lot of things that, we didn't have as much of back in the day. And you've also got advice from other bands and other artists and other people who work in the industry. So I think don't make any snap decisions about things, especially if it involves money. Because that's hard enough to come by these days as it is anyway. So I strongly would suggest that not investing in anything unless you've kind of taken the time to really look
do
through
the research.
And also make sure that you're all on the same page, because you can have, especially if it's a band, you might have 3 of you who feel one way about it and 2 who don't. And ultimately, yes, you can go with the kind of the democratic vote, but then you're going to have 2 people who are still like
unhappy.
Deep down not happy with it. It's better to sort of wait and see if you can kind of get all on the same page together. And I'd say similarly with songwriting as well, like our model was originally, we started out that it was like writers who obviously assumed the royalties, but we, as time has gone by, realized that it was a much more kind of fair model to sort of split everything evenly between all 5 of us, and it's stuff like that I hear that breaks bands up quite a lot, and I certainly got advised about that early on, but obviously I was a lot younger, and when you're young you kind of
it's never going to happen to me, don't worry.
yeah exactly.
I'm too smart. I wouldn't fall for that.
Hindsight is a wonderful thing, as they say. So definitely, like this kind of the way that we have it structured now, where everyone is a lot happier, everyone is a lot closer, and it just, I think taking the time to have those kind of conversations and just taking your time in general, because there's no rush. Like one of the very first things when I had spoken to Jarrett for the very first time, I had him on a show that I started when lockdown had pretty much just started, and COVID had just hit in, and I started running something called the Pop Punk Catch Up, where I'd have various bands in pop punk come on and talk about the state of COVID, how they were coping with it, what was going on. And one of the very first things that he said to me, because we got talking about age, I'm not sure exactly how it came about, but I said that I was freaking out about turning 30. and that I felt like if it hasn't happened yet, it's not going to, sort of thing. And we went down those kind of lines. And then he was just like, dude, no, like, stop it. Because you know, you can have success at any age. You could turn 50 and then have a number one single. Like, you just don't know. And the only time constraint and the only pressure there is the pressure that you're putting on yourself. Like, yes, you know, there is this kind of society guideline, but at the end of the day, that's all bullshit. Like, it comes down to you. And if you put that pressure on yourself, then it's only you who's going to stop you from doing it. But otherwise, there's nothing that can stop you from having success, no matter what age you are.
Absolutely.
Well,
good advice.
Shit. Yeah. I know a lot of people who are worried about that. I know I've been worried about that, having that blanket of, oh man, I have a small window. Like, if I don't make it by this time, I got to give it up. It's like, it's just not true.
I've definitely given myself that ultimatum at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Same.
And here I am.
It's still going.
Not listening to myself.
It's great. Honestly, it is great. I think I saw a quote from Lemmy that said something similar to that. I think it said something like, if you think you're too old to rock and roll, then you are. So basically, if you think you are,
I love that.
Then yeah. But otherwise, no, you're not. Like, carry on for as long as you want to.
And if you've ever seen the movie Airheads, obviously, like, you should be listening to Lemmy, because there's a quote from that movie where he's asked, it's gosh, I can't even remember it, but basically it comes down to Lemmy is God. He is God. So
yeah. His words are
I think it was something along the lines of like, who would win in a fight, Lemmy or God? And then
Lemmy
didn't know. He didn't know, and he said, trick question, Lemmy is God.
Oh, there you go.
So right there, that tells you, if Lemmy said it, it's gospel.
It's gospel.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that is a perfect segue into our next segment. Are you ready?
This next segment's our obscure question segment. We get away from music for the most part and just start asking random stupid questions.
Yep.
Cool. Down for that.
Cool. So Bear had the first question to where he is very interested, and he wants to know, who is your favorite character from Phineas and Ferb?
I have to be completely honest here. Full disclosure, I have not watched Phineas and Ferb.
Can I also be honest? Because I've never watched it either.
Yes.
Why the fuck am I coming up with the question?
Because I came up with the other questions.
That makes me so sad.
So I've kind of watched Phineas and Ferb like a couple times with my son, and it was really funny. What I remember, I really liked the concept of it.
I'm just gonna sit here brooding. It's fine.
Okay, so while you're sitting there,
what is it about?
Yeah, Bear. I mean, you've seen it more than.
It's about 2 kids who named Phineas and Ferb, who spend their summer building incredible, like, ridiculous, out of this world things. They just basically have, every episode is a new day in the summer, and they try to fill their time. They'll build like water parks in their backyard, like spooky forests in their backyard.
That
like,
one,
whatever,
the water park
yeah,
one. I think
whatever
I've
it
seen
is.
That one.
And they have an older sister who always tries to bust them. And so she's always trying to like take photos and like call the mom and be like, they're building something crazy in the backyard. Meanwhile, they have a pet platypus who's also a secret agent.
Secret agent. Yeah.
Yeah. Who has to fight Dr. Doofenshmirtz and all of his evil inventions. So yeah, like it's great. The platypus's name his name is Perry. He's my favorite. I have him tattooed on my leg.
You do. He's also like he has a nemesis too, though, right?
Yeah.
The Doofenshmirtz kid. Is that what you said?
Well, so Dr. Doofenshmirtz is his nemesis, yeah. But he also has Peter the Panda.
Okay.
So who's also another agent that like. Well,
the whole
Perry doesn't like him
reminds me a bit of Dexter's Laboratory, and I used to love it.
It's very similar in that way.
I love Dexter's Laboratory. Is really
okay, so next question. Who's your favorite character from Dexter's Laboratory?
Dexter, obviously.
Okay,
so Are you a big like cartoon guy? Do you watch cartoons a lot?
I used to. I don't watch so many nowadays. I've fallen into unfortunately, the cliche Netflix trap. And I watch quite a bit on there. Like
That's
You,
fair.
it's something that I'm watching a lot of at the moment.
My wife really likes You. Like
if you ever want to have like an awkward and really fun like 5 minutes to kill, just like YouTube You without the narrative. So like without him narrating it, it's just like she'll like ask him a question and he'll just sit there silently. It's so funny.
That's
like,
brilliant. I got to say his voice, like, you know, and I'm a straight guy, but his voice is like word porn. Like when you
absolutely.
narrative.
Oh yeah.
Have you watched You then, Bear?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Bits and pieces. I haven't watched the whole thing. But I've watched a few episodes.
I've watched a few
my
episodes.
girlfriend literally just finished the finale.
Okay.
Today so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, my wife was nuts about it.
All right, next question. When thinking about our place in the universe, how small do your problems really feel?
Minuscule.
Yeah.
Absolutely minuscule.
Absolutely.
Especially when
the fact that we're floating on this giant ass rock in the middle of like fucking nowhere, and you're like, I don't know when I'm gonna eat tonight. Oh, what?
Yeah, especially when I think about how big the universe is. Like me and my girlfriend have this conversation all the time about like how, you know, there's got to be other life out there. And
agreed.
Like on, you know, I think I'm pretty sure she told me the other day that there'd been another planet discovered with water on it, and that's exciting because obviously that potential for life.
That'd be so
and I heard about obviously all the reports that were coming out that the Navy were coming out with about like the USS Nimitz. And people who cited craft going into the water and stuff like that. So that wasn't that a lot of the stuff that To the Stars, like Tom DeLonge's thing, had been like poking at, and then they finally were like, well, I guess we'll release it.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, actually, I did sort of go like, yes, because everyone around me at the time was like, that dude is completely off of his rocker.
Crazy. Yeah, you're right. He kind of is. He's completely off his rocker genius. You're right. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like Tom DeLonge. I think Blink-182 is better off with him. And I also
think he's better off without Blink-182.
I think Angels and Airwaves is awesome, and his books are fucking great.
Yep.
Like I've read every book he has out so far. And I love him. Like he's a really good writer.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the Pursuit of Tone documentary that he did with Ernie Ball.
Yeah.
Yep. That was good too.
That was great.
All right. Honestly, last question. You ready? When drying off after a shower, is the towel technically clean?
Oh, that is a good question. Wow. That's actually made me have to think.
I mean, you're supposed to be clean after a shower, unless you're doing it wrong.
So I suppose, yes, I guess.
The world may never know.
It depends. Because if it's been sitting there while you've been in the shower, technically there's still dust particles traveling around the room. So if dust falls on the towel, is it dirty?
Now, I also want to ask this very serious question that does pertain to this. Since we're all, men, let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
Do you only use your towel once?
Oh no.
No.
No, because it's clean.
Exactly.
What's your magic number to where you need to switch out that towel?
Oh wow.
You're supposed to switch out a towel?
Yeah.
My wife tells me I
am. For me, it's like 3 or 4. Because the fourth
maybe
one's
5
iffy.
at a push.
Yeah.
I'd have to say 5 is like the magic number of okay, I should switch it out.
If it starts to smell, you've gone too far.
Yeah, at least have to give it a sniff test.
Smells musky.
Yeah, if it feels solid, then that's probably.
If you're having a hard time and it hurts when you're just drying yourself off, Because it's crusty. That's the time. That's for sure time.
And don't even wash it. Throw it away and buy it.
If it's crusty, I'm going to ask what else you've been doing with that towel.
And our next segment is son of a bitch.
We are actually now we're going to move on to our last segment. This is our rapid fire questions. You're going to shoot from the hip and you're going to speak from the heart. We're going to give you a couple options. You're going to choose whichever option pulls at your heartstring the most.
And the first question is, if a train was going 55 kilometers per hour south, right, but there was a wind that was blowing to the west, what color would you paint the train?
Oh, that's a dude. What? Why didn't you put that in the obscure questions? Because boy, was that good.
Wait, what color was the train?
No, what color would you paint the train? If it was going 55 kilometers east and the wind was blowing at 35 kilometers west, what color would you paint the train?
Purple.
Okay.
I love it. Purple is the color of royalty. That actually wasn't a question we're going to ask, but I'm glad you did ask it. So rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Saved by the Bell or Boy Meets World?
Saved by the Bell.
Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
Mortal Kombat.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
We're going to skip this next question because we learned from the last people we interviewed from the UK that doesn't mean the same thing. Are you a day or night person?
Night, definitely.
Okay, last question. Fall Out Boy or My Chemical Romance?
Fall Out Boy. Every time.
Oh, wow. You answered wrong. But
that's right.
No,
explain the question. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm not as big, I would say, on like more of their more recent material, but like From Under the Cork Tree is always
right.
My favorite.
And once
out of the wrong answer, that is the right answer.
Yeah, because literally anyone that ever says Fall Out Boy, the question always goes back to, oh gosh, well, early Fall Out Boy or all Fall Out Boy? And because yes, early Fall Out Boy is incredible and does pit hard against My Chem.
Yeah,
if you're only going with the early Fall Out Boy.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's just it. It's like you have to choose. But okay, the question that we did skip was pudding or Jello. But we found out that like you guys don't have what we consider pudding
or Jello.
Or Jello.
So what do you mean in terms of pudding?
Okay, so pudding is like pudding like chocolate or vanilla.
And it's custard.
Custard, basically. Yeah.
Okay, custard or jelly. I would go jelly because I do like jelly.
Okay. So, but like jelly is like jelly jam because like our Jello is like it's like gelatin cube, like you can put in like cubes or like,
lime, orange, yeah, strawberry. It's like a gelatin snack.
Yeah.
Oh, like a snack, not like a big bowl of jelly kind of thing. Then
no, not like a jam that you'd spread on toast or something.
Well, or
not like jam, but like you can eat it. Like
okay, so you are so you call it jelly.
Jelly, yeah.
Okay, see, over here we call like jam jelly.
I can see the confusion.
Yeah. So we were actually
you guys were stupid and
we're stupid.
Like,
yes.
Let me just give you an example, right? No. So like over there,
you did it first, so we're copycats.
As an example, it's like you know how like you guys have pavement along like right next to the street where you walk on the pavement. We're so dumb we have to call it sidewalks. You walk on the side.
Yeah. So, but we we ran into this when we did our interview with Royals.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I hit that and he was like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, shit. We forgot. We
forgot.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah,
they're
great.
awesome. They're so
super fun. We had a really big long chat with them about like some of the significant differences of
touring in the US, touring in the UK, what shows
and just and just how like we went so hard out of our way to call things differently to call things different names over here and do things differently than the UK. I'm assuming to set ourselves apart because we're Americans.
I think I listened to that actually because you guys spoke about like distances between shows as well.
Yeah,
like over here in the UK, people make a fuss about traveling, an hour and a half, and you guys would think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, hour and a half standard for a big concert.
Yeah. Well, when you think about the fact that the entire UK can fit inside of Texas, you run out of cities to hit. Meanwhile, we're like, oh, our favorite band is going to Minneapolis. I'm going to drive 5 hours because they're skipping us and going to Minneapolis and then going to, I don't know, St. Louis or something. So it's like, you have to pick the closer of the two, and the closer of the two is still 4 hours away, and we'll still go.
And even just even showing that the distance isn't so much of an issue. I mean, my band lives 2 hours away from me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So for practice, I travel 2 hours.
Yep. And each one of my members in the band lives in a different state. So,
which is hours at least.
Hours. We have
shows dedication and commitment.
Yeah. And the fact that you can do everything online now,
it makes it a lot easier.
I got a band meeting tonight, and we're just going to Zoom it,
Exactly. Like sometimes I think you don't always have to, physically be there. It depends what you're doing. Obviously, if you've got run up to a tour, then you might want to have a consecutive week where you're constantly you've got practice. But if
I don't even do that. We do it the day before. Sometimes the day of.
Yeah. We pretty much do. At least with us, we'll make sure that each person is practicing on their own, get in their self all together. And then we usually a weekend before the tour or run of shows or whatever. We're like, okay, well, we're going to spend the weekend together.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. All right, man. With that said, we want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you for, just all that you do. Thank you for what you've been doing with the scene, with all the groups that you're in. We want you to basically promote yourself, promote A Few Too Many. Tell us what's going on, where we can find you, what's next, just all of it. Shameless plug your shit.
Sure. So obviously the main thing that I would like to plug is the workshop that me and Jarrett are running. The next one of which is on the 19th of November. And we have Rishi Bal joining us, who is the founder of Four Chord Music Festival and also the frontman of Eternal Boy, and Maggie Schneider, who you guys will know from Glimmers.
Yep.
Both absolutely massive industry heavyweights, hugely influential. So I'm really excited to have them on and for me and Jarrett to talk to them. For anyone who wants to follow the band, A Few Too Many, we have Linktree for everyone who's familiar with that. So that's Linktree / A Few Too Many. We've got Facebook, which is just facebook.com/ A Few Too Many. Instagram is at A Few Too Many. And we do have Twitter as well, which is at A Few Too Many UK. And also for any musicians and bands who are listening, would absolutely love you guys to join the Alternative Music Networking group if you're in a punk rock band, an alternative band, whichever genre you're in. If you fall under the alternative umbrella, we would absolutely love to have you join and get involved within our community. So yeah, and thank you guys for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, with that, this has been another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. Danny, thank you for being here, and we'll catch you guys next week.